Okay, picture this. You sit down to study, you read the exact same sentence, maybe 5 times? It feels super familiar in the moment, but somehow, just 2 hours later, your brain just deletes it, literally like it never even existed. We have all been there, and it is a universally frustrating experience. But here's the thing nobody actually tells you. This struggle, it is not a sign that you lack intelligence, and it absolutely doesn't mean you have a bad memory. Because here is the crazy reality. Your brain is actually designed to forget almost everything. Think about it from a pure survival perspective. If you remembered absolutely every single thing you encountered, it would completely destroy your ability to function and focus. Your brain is essentially acting like a really strict bouncer at an exclusive VIP club. And frankly, most of your textbook is definitely not on the list. That bouncer is asking one question. Is this important enough to keep? And if you don't force your brain to care, the answer is no, and that data simply vanishes. And that brings us to our topic today. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to unpack exactly how to memorize anything so fast it almost feels unfair. We are digging directly into the actual science-backed mechanics that top performers use, not just to retain information, but to recall it flawlessly under pressure. We're not talking about some vague motivation today. We are getting into the actual neurological mechanics. So, here is our blueprint for today. First, why your brain forgets. Second, active recall and the blurting method. Third, making your brain care. Fourth, the spaced repetition system. And finally, number 5, sleep, environment, and interleaving. Let's get into it. Part 1, why your brain forgets. So the foundational mistake most of us make is treating our brains like a computer hard drive. You can't just read something, hit save, and expect it to stay there. Think about the typical approach. We rely on passive input, right? Rereading notes, highlighting entire pages, sitting through endless lectures. It feels incredibly productive, but passive input does absolutely nothing to convince your brain that the information actually matters. Now compare that to active retrieval. This is when you close your notes, force your brain to struggle, and actively test yourself. Neuroscience tells us that memory is built through reconstruction. Your brain strengthens information when it retrieves it, not when it receives it. That tiny bit of struggle you feel when trying to remember, that is the exact moment you are building memory pathways. Which means, the crucial takeaway here is this. Instead of reading a chapter 4 times, close the book and ask yourself what you actually remember. Listen, even if you only remember like 20% of what you just read, that is a massive win. The difficulty you feel during that recall is a biological signal. It means your brain is adapting and building pathways. It is not a sign that you're failing. Actually, the harder the retrieval feels in the moment, the much stronger the memory becomes afterward. Moving right along to part 2, active recall and blurting. So we know we have to force the brain to struggle, but how do we actually do that efficiently? Enter the blurting method. Honestly, when people first try this, they say it almost feels illegal because of how fast it works. Here's the play. Step 1, you study normally for 20 to 30 minutes. Step 2, you close absolutely everything. Step 3, grab a completely blank sheet of paper and just write down absolutely everything you can remember. It can be super messy, it can be totally incomplete, it really doesn't matter. You are just forcing retrieval. And then, step 4, open your notes back up, compare what you missed, and repeat the process. Because your brain is hyper-aware of mistakes, that corrected information is going to stick incredibly fast. You're combining retrieval practice, error correction, and deep encoding all at the exact same time. Which brings us to part 3, making your brain care. Look, random information dies extremely quickly in the mind, but connected patterns, those survive. Your brain is highly associative. It literally runs on relationships. If you try to memorize raw data, like some robotic textbook definitions saying ATP is the energy currency of the cell, it is going to fall right out of your head. But if you connect it to an analogy, say ATP is basically a battery pack for cellular work, you instantly give your brain meaning, and meaning creates memory hooks. The more hooks you can create through analogies, little stories, or even weird mental images, the faster your recall gets. You really have to stop asking, how do I repeat this, and start asking, how do I connect this? And beyond analogies, your brain is fundamentally driven by emotion. I mean, think about it. You can effortlessly remember some horribly embarrassing moment from 5 years ago in crystal clear detail, right? That's because emotion tells the brain, hey, this matters. Well, you can intentionally use this superpower while you study. Instead of passively reading in some dull, half-awake state, use tactics to manufacture emotional intensity. Teach the concept dramatically, as if you're up on a stage. Seriously, pace around your room and pretend you're giving a TED Talk. Set an urgency timer to turn it into a race. Put on some intense focus music. Emotion directly drives attention, and attention drastically increases deep encoding. Boredom, on the other hand, just completely destroys retention. All right, part 4, the spaced repetition system. We really need to talk about the shocking speed at which we lose information. Consider the number 24. Researchers have found that without any sort of review, your memory of something drops aggressively within the first 24 hours. If you study a concept today and you'd never revisit it, your brain permanently tags it as temporary data and just tosses it out. This is exactly why you can study for 4 hours, feel super productive, and then sit down at the exam the next day and realize you've forgotten the whole shebang. Memory requires strategic reinforcement. So to hack this aggressive forgetting curve, we use spaced repetition. The whole goal here is to review the information right before your brain is about to forget it. Not too early, not too late. A highly effective schedule looks like this. You learn it on day 1. Do a quick review on day 2. Review it again on day 4, then day 7, and do a final review on day 14. And the best part is, with every single review, the study session gets shorter, but the memory gets vastly stronger. Your brain responds to repetition over time. It definitely does not respond to panicked cramming at 2 in the morning. Finally, part 5, sleep, environment, and interleaving. Let's explore the hidden amplifiers of memory that happen completely outside of just staring at your notes. First up is your environment. Your brain actually attaches memories to the context of where you learned them. This is known as context-dependent learning. So if you're always studying while scrolling your phone, or if you're getting a ping every 3 minutes, your brain is actually learning distraction. It never gets the chance to enter a state of deep encoding. Shallow attention is always going to create a shallow memory. I don't care how naturally smart you are. Fragmented attention is literally the enemy of retention. Because of that, you have got to implement the 25 rule. If you want faster, better memorization, you must aggressively protect the first 25 minutes of your study time. I mean, 0 notifications, no multitasking, no, I'll just quickly check my messages. True memory formation requires uninterrupted attention to actually take root. And then, what happens when you finally finish studying? Well, you sleep. Seriously, sleep is literally a core part of the memorization process. You don't fully memorize things while you're awake at your desk. Your brain actually finalizes the memory and transfers it into long-term storage during deep sleep. Those all-night cramming sessions, they completely backfire because you are actively sacrificing the exact neurological process that stabilizes what you just learned. If you want incredible retention, study the really difficult material a few hours before bed and then get a proper night's sleep. Your brain will literally keep working on the material after you close your eyes. One last advanced trick for you. Interleaving. Think about the difference between these 2 approaches. The average student uses blocked studying, meaning doing 4 straight hours of math. That just exhausts your attention and creates a totally false sense of fluency. Top performers, on the other hand, use interleaving. They'll do 45 minutes of math, then switch to 45 minutes of biology, and then 45 minutes of chemistry. Why do that? Because this controlled switching forces the brain to repeatedly re-engage. Your brain is constantly having to figure out, wait, what strategy am I supposed to use right here? And that extra mental effort, it dramatically improves long-term learning. Sure, it might feel a little bit slower in the moment, but it performs infinitely better when it's time for the exam. Ultimately, we just have to change our metrics for success. You've got to stop measuring your learning by how many pages you highlighted, or how many hours of lectures you passively let wash over you. The new standard is incredibly simple. Measure your learning by what actually survives after 3 days. Real memory isn't about looking at a page and thinking, oh yeah, that looks familiar. It is entirely about being able to reconstruct that information from scratch when it actually counts. Look, your brain is not bad at memorizing. It has just been overloaded with passive information and completely starved of active retrieval. Memorization is a trainable mechanic, plain and simple. If you implement blurting, if you create those emotional hooks, protect your focus, and actually utilize spaced repetition, your retention is going to absolutely skyrocket. So the final question I want to leave you with today is this. Are you ready to stop fighting your brain and start studying the way it actually learns? Give these tools a try today and just watch how unfair your memory can become.